How I found I was pregnant at 16. If you guys don't know me already, my name is Bella and I'm currently 29 weeks pregnant with a baby boy due in January. My most asked question is definitely how old I am. I am 16, I'll be 17 in January. Flashback to May 2025, I think it was like 2 weeks before my period. I was having really weird cramping and I didn't know this, but it was implantation cramping. I was the type of person to get period cramps, so I just thought my period was coming early. After a few weeks go by, I'm still having this really weird cramping. At this point, I knew something was off. This same week, I went out to dinner with my boyfriend and my friend Eva, and I got sushi, and normally I'm perfectly fine with sushi, but that same night I ended up puking it up everywhere. I told my friends everything that happened, and we were kind of just joking around, like, what if you're pregnant? So at this point, I told myself if I didn't get my period in 3 days, because that's what my app said, then I was going to go to the store and I was going to get a test. I was waiting as long as I could because I didn't want to spend $15 on a test if I didn't need to. So that's why I waited so long. A few days go by and I miss my period. So after work one day, I run to the store and I grab a 2-pack of the digital and then like the regular test. I went home and I took the digital one first. I did not think I was pregnant at all. I just got a test because I thought we were scaring ourselves for literally no reason, so I just wanted clarification, but obviously that did not go as planned. I flipped the test over and all it said was yes, and I immediately started crying. First I texted Simeon and then I texted Maya in Brooklyn. Simeon was obviously scared to death, and Maya in Brooklyn just didn't even think life was real, to be honest. After talking to Simeon, Maya in Brooklyn for a little bit, I run down to my cousin's room because at this point she was staying with us. I pulled out the test and she was just as shocked as we are. That's basically how I found out. Now moving forward a few days to Friday. So I already had a scheduled doctor's appointment for Friday. So I bring my pregnancy tests with me. I asked my mom to step out the room, pull out my pregnancy tests, and I showed them to my doctor. And she said everything's gonna be okay, and she gave me a big hug. Immediately told her that I want to keep the baby. I didn't want to terminate the baby. I didn't want to put it up for adoption. I already knew what my decision was. Me personally, I just could not live with the fact knowing that I have a baby out there if I put it up for adoption, or if I terminated my baby. I could not live like that. We talked for a little bit and then she basically tells me that I have to tell my mom today. I was supposed to go with my boyfriend to his grandma's cottage this weekend, so I did not want to tell my mom because I thought she was going to ground me. I thought she was literally going to take everything away from me. But my doctor basically explained to me that I have to, and that she's going to be my #1 supporter no matter what. She gave me the option of me being able to tell her, or she also said that she could tell her. Came up with a plan that she was going to go test my urine to make sure that it's not a false positive, because I still had it stuck in my head that it was a false positive. She was going to go check my urine, and then she was going to bring my mom into another room. So that's exactly what happened. I waited probably like 30 minutes. Finally, my mom and my doctor come back in, and my mom immediately tells me that my life is changing and I'm gonna have to think about some things that I know, but I already know what I want to do with my decision. I said, I'm keeping this baby no matter what. I know God is putting this baby in my life for a reason, and I'm just letting him handle it all. We talked for a few minutes after that, and then we left. I think we were all in just a little bit of a denial, and we didn't really start talking about it again until like a few weeks after that. That's basically how I found out and told my mom. I'm sorry this video is so long.
In 2019, my middle school had one of the biggest scandals in Philly that they tried to like cover up with good publicity and just sweep under the rug. And it was the fact that a 41-year-old dean had intercourse with a 14-year-old student. That's not funny. What's funny is the way that the school handled it. It's so fucking sick and appalling. But let's hop into the story, because I remember this shit like it was yesterday. I'll never forget this shit. So when everything came out, this shit happened on a Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, I went to a mastery. Masteries are supposed to get out at 1:30. They ended up having to let us out, I believe, 30 minutes early because of all the commotion that went down this day. So I'm in art class, right? And my art teacher was mean as fuck. She was a lady named Miss Hall by alopecia. And she treated us like shit because previous students in the past treated her like shit because she's bald and it's a middle school and middle schools are ruthless. But that's neither here nor there. So I asked her, I'm trying to get out the classroom. I asked her, I'm like, yo, Miss Hall, like, can I go to the bathroom? She surprisingly says yes. So I hurry up about that classroom, and I'm in the bathroom. I'm just playing around dilly-dallying. And then next thing you know, I hear all this commotion. I hear screaming. I'm like, where the fuck? All I hear was, I was like, where the fuck is he? Where the fuck is he? Where the fuck is he? I hear teachers shuffling and shit. I hear the lady is just persistent and she stands aggressive. So I peek my head out the bathroom and I recognize who it is causing all the commotion. It was a parent of a student who already graduated. The student graduated the year previously, and I knew because me and her daughter used to deal with each other, I believe, when she was in the school, when I was in 7th grade and the daughter was in 8th grade. And like we had a whole beef, and the mom had to come up to the school, and my mom had to come up to the school. So me and her mom had met, so I knew who the lady was. That's where I'm going with this. So, baby, you can imagine my surprise when I peek my head out the bathroom and I see Miss Such and Such mom with a bat looking for this one particular person. So as I peek my head out the bathroom, a teacher, of course, catches me, and they try to hurry up and push me into my classroom. But I already saw enough. I saw what I needed to see. Because in the midst of that happening, she ends up finding the dean. She finds Omar. And she has, like I said, the bitch got a bat. And she in that classroom going the fuck off on him. Like, she's swinging the bat all crazy. Her like, girlfriend in there riding for her and shit. The teacher's trying to hurry up and they try and break it up. And this is the thing. The classroom I was in was right across from the classroom everything was happening in. Mind you, I don't know if it was all masteries, but I know mine had this big ass window. Like, it was all the classrooms had these huge windows on the doors. So even as the ladies escorting me in, I can see everything that's happening. And like the doors is thin, it's everything's happening on one floor. So all the classrooms can hear everything happening. Everyone's at their door trying to see. So my classmates all lined up at the door because, like I said, we directly across from it, and they all like, and me being messy, I go in there and I announced what happened. Well, I announced what I knew to be happening. I'm like, yo, why such and such mom up here with a bat and she up here looking for Omar? She about to fuck him up, da-da-da. They like, yo. So it's just so much commotion happening in all the classrooms. The school had to hurry up and figure out a way to isolate this, and they way of isolating it was getting us out the room, getting us out of school. They like, mind you, it's probably 1 o'clock. They like, man, fuck it, these motherfuckers gotta go. So at this point, we don't really care. We just happy that we are able to get out early because we middle schoolers. We want to go have fun and, you know, get it popping, whatever. Nobody care about what's going on for real. So, mind you, even when they let us out early, nobody knows what's happening yet. I don't even think the teachers knew what's happening yet. But everybody in the neighborhood found out that later that evening, not even that night, later that evening, it came on the news. Mind you, I lived in like a block or two away from the school, so I heard like all the choppers and stuff and all like everything going on with the news, right? But when I tell you, nothing could have prepared me for what I heard when I turned on that news channel, bro. It was a picture of my dean, and they were saying they was explaining the situation that broke out with the mom coming to the school and stuff. But after that, they had said that man had was being accused of having intercourse with a student that went to the school the year previous. Like I said, the girl was in 9th grade at this point when everything came out. So, mind you, I'm sitting here watching this with my family. So my family's, they're in shock. They're like, oh, do you know him? What? Mind you, yes, I know him because aside from the fact that it was a middle school, it was small. This dean was prominent, bro. He was prominent because he was a newer dean. I think he only been there for like a year or two. Like, he wasn't like one of our OG teachers, how everybody else was. Like, our teacher's been there probably like 10 years and shit. No, he was new. And he had instilled this principle called like Ubuntu or something. I think it's like a South African principle, something about like unity and teamwork and striving to emphasize community. So he put that principle into the school, and we had like And like that was our foundation. Like we had like banners hanging up that said like Ubuntu and stuff. We had like community meetings centered around Ubuntu. Like it was intense. Also, keep in mind, right? He was supposed to be like starting like the boxing club, like a self-defense thing. Mind you, I was supposed to be joining it, and I was pissed off because I had already bought all my gear and shit. I had already bought all like the gear to join the boxing club just for this man to be in jail. So yeah, what happened? This is sick and sad. What you did, you're appalling. But damn, I didn't bought the boxing shit. You gonna get locked up? Like what the fuck? Like you're weird as shit. Yes, you're disgusting, but you're also weird because you have responsibilities and you were supposed to be a pillar of the community. That's one. Two, I had another concern. I was like, I was dealing with this girl, and I'm like, damn, was she dealing with this grown-ass man when she was dealing with me? Keep in mind, I'm only in 8th grade, so, like, I know it's not the right thing to think, but I definitely, that thought immediately came across my mind. Because, like I said, the news couldn't disclose who the student was, but I knew who the student was because I went to middle school, and I saw the mom, so I knew what was going on. You feel me? And everybody who was at my middle school also pretty much, when they seen that, they probably knew who the student was and what was going on. Right? Now, let's get into how the school handled it after. You know what they did? Of course, they send out the little bullshit notes that's like, oh my God, like, you know, I know you probably heard about this from the news. So sorry this happened. You know, because what can you really say when someone you hire decides to just completely say F moral or F morality, F the law, F everything and do something like that? What can you say? You can't really say nothing. So they give us the bullshit notes and they try, you know, they're like, you know, our counselors are here. They're open if anyone needs to talk. And granted, there was multiple people who was bullshitting and came in here to talk and express their feelings. Y'all, them people wasn't impacted. They wasn't impacted. They just wanted to get out of the class. If anyone was impacted, it was me because I done seen the shit, how the shit started. And then I was dating the bitch, so I'm mentally like, oh my God, I was competing with a 41-year-old man. If anyone should have been the counselors, it was me. It should have been me, but I wasn't. Now, this is the thing. That's what the school did to initially. Do you know, there was something else they did after because, you know, when something like that happens, your reputation is ruined. It's shattered. Do you know what my fucking middle school did, bro? Ooh, I wish I could go back to the time and whoop everybody's ass. You know what these people did? Not even my middle school. The principal decided the best way to just get our reputation back and just claim it back and just establish order within the mastery community was for him to go on American Ninja Warrior. That was his plan. So when I tell you, like, ooh, it was so embarrassing. Looking back, it's so embarrassing. When I tell you this man like was recording like Insta videos of him like practicing inside of like the school gym and stuff. He doing pull-ups, nigga running off walls, nigga doing backflip. Well, he didn't do no backflip, but he was doing things that were quite athletic for a principal, I will say. Now, did that athleticism matter? No, because I don't even think he got past the first round of American Ninja Warrior. He didn't even get past the first round. So it's like you essentially just made everything worse. You embarrassed us. You could have established some kind of community day or something to pretty much reach out with the community and say, you know what, this happened, but this is not us. We're bigger than this. Ubuntu. Like, he could have did something. But no, he went on America's Ninja Warrior, didn't make it past the first round, embarrassed us. What the fuck is my principal's name? I think his name's something Warshower. I don't know. You can go find it on American Ninja Warrior. If you want to go read the case file against the dean, his name is Omar Harrison, because why would I defend him? And don't ask me nothing about the victim, because, you feel me? But yeah, like, that was really insane. And I feel like we kind of just, like, swept it under the rug. And it's like, bro, that was mad, intense, and crazy as shit that we all had to witness that. Well, I mean, we didn't witness what happened, obviously. But, you know, you feel me? Our dean, our Ubuntu king, was nothing. He was a sick, perverted individual. And we ain't had no clue the whole time. Ain't that some shit? You gotta watch it. You gotta watch them ball niggas. But, yeah, be careful, man. Where you see your kids to school at and shit.
I got a security guard fired last night, so I'm going to tell you about it. I feel like this is going to cause a bit of an uproar, or at least some men are going to get a bit angry about it. If you're going to do that, just scroll, because I will argue my point till I die. I'm very, yeah, anyway. So, last night, me and my friends went to a certain, bar, club, pub kind of thing, I don't know. And obviously, it's just been Halloween, so last night, if you dressed up, you got a shot on entry. So I went in a group, I think there was 7 of us, and we all decided to dress up and go together because hell yeah, free shot. So 2 of the girls were cowgirls, a pirate, a mermaid, Batwoman, and me and Tabby were a cat, and I was a Playboy bunny. There was literally no issues at the start of the night whatsoever. We got up behind like the decks and were dancing, having a good time. Like there were a few other people dressed up, not everyone was dressed up, but there was a few others. It wasn't just us. But the place literally had Halloween decorations like everywhere. So the workers knew it was Halloween, you know? So we'd been dancing behind the decks for a little bit, and like I'd been talking to the DJ and stuff, like just suggesting songs and stuff. He was really, really sweet. And me and Tabby like turned to each other. I'm like, I think I need a breather. So she's like, sure. We go around to the smokers, which is like half inside, half outside kind of vibe. And we walk out to the smokers. Literally in the entrance, there's a security guard standing right there in a button up, like trench coat, button to the top, with a scarf, and he just kind of looks like really pretentious. Like think of Chuck Bass, that's kind of him. And he's holding an umbrella, and I couldn't feel the fucking rain, so I was like, is it raining? And he goes, no, I'm holding this for fun. Okay, piss off. Anyways, that's not the issue. Then he turns to me and Tabby, cat and Playboy bunny, and he said, what are you guys dressed as? Take a wild fucking guess. I had bunny ears on my head and she had cat ears. Ugh, we're dressed as zombies. Like, what? Anyways, he then goes, oh, I get it. You're a Playboy bunny. And I'm like, yeah, period. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't just like, yes. I was like, yeah, I'm Playboy bunny. And he's like, so what are you here for? You here to meet a wealthy man or for the sex? Yeah? Aka, excuse me? He goes, that's what Playboy's all about. Tabby turns to him and goes, okay, what if it's just a costume? And he's like, well, you're clearly here to meet Hugh Hefner. I was like, I've got my own Hugh Hefner at home, like meeting my boyfriend. And he goes, and what's Hugh Hefner doing letting you out of the house like this? I don't know, like a mutual trust and like respect thing. And he goes, I would really question the intentions of your boyfriend. I was like, excuse me? And then me and Tabby were like, we're dressing for ourselves. Like, fuck you, we're dressing to look cute with all our friends. And he's like pretty much saying, no, you're absolutely not dressing for yourselves. You're dressing because you know guys are going to look at you sexually and you're looking for sex. He told me I was looking for an orgy. I wasn't aware of that. And so me and like Tabby are just like fully arguing with this guy, and he's like, my woman. Me and Tabby like snap our necks to look at each other. We're like, his woman, you reckon? He's like, my woman. I would never allow my woman to be out of the house like that. And I was like, first of all, she's not your woman. It's your girlfriend or your wife or whatever. And she's her own fucking person. She can do what she wants. But second of all, this man was like 50 years old, meaning his girlfriend or wife supposedly, probably, I'm hoping, is around that age too. So of course she's not going to go out of the house dressed as a bunny or a cat, you know. She's probably like a mum. She's staying home. She's not going to a Halloween club thing, you know. Go back to when she was 19. She probably was dressing like this. He was like, my woman has some respect for herself and never shows any skin. Right. And then he goes on to say like, all men are hardwired the same. They all think sexually about women like that. Like, you guys dressing like this is basically begging to, like, you know. And I was like, okay, so if all men are wired like that, are you thinking about that towards us? And he's like, no, not me. And I was like, but you just said all men. He's like, well, it is all men. And I'm like, but not you, so it's not all men. And then he's like, do you guys have guy friends? I was like, yeah. He's like, call them up right now, ask them to hook up. The boys will 1000% be like, yeah, let's fuck, let's go down to fuck. I was like, what are you even on about, you stupid cunt? I don't even understand what this whole conversation was about. It was literally just misogyny. I genuinely was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to call a guy friend and ask to hook up. By the way, all my guy friends are Bradley's friends. I was like, I'm not going to do that. And they would immediately run to my boyfriend and tell him to break up with me, you know what I mean? And so he's like, yeah, because you know I'm right. And then he walked off. I can't even like go into detail about all the points he was making because he was genuinely, I was that angry that I wasn't even taking in anything anymore. I was just so pissed. But basically the premise of what he was saying, he was calling me and Tabby pretty much not real women. We need to respect men more, and basically saying we were dressing so we could have sex with men, and like we were asking to be hit on, and telling me I liked orgies. I don't know about that bit. And so I turned to Tabby, I'm like, this is not okay. Like, this is not happening. I'm not allowing him to speak to me like that. I'm not allowing him to speak to other women like that. Like, it genuinely, it was just filth coming out of his mouth. It was just misogyny and anti-feminism and sexism. It was just sexism coming out of his mouth. My woman, you reckon? Oh, anyways. So we go inside and I'm like straight up to the bar to talk to someone. But the bar was really, really full because it was close to closing time. So like everyone was getting their last drinks and stuff. So I couldn't go to that bar. So I turned to Grace, which is one of the other girls with us. And I was like, blah, blah, this happened. Grace is really confrontational as well. She was like, we're gonna go confront him, blah, blah, blah. If you remember my other story time about like not being let into a bar, Grace was the one that made the TikTok about the security guard. So she was gonna make another TikTok and take some photos of this guy. And I was like, hold on. You're like, yes, we can do that. But first I want to get his name so I can write it in a review or get it or like put in a complaint about him. So we tried to find him and we couldn't find him. I don't know where he disappeared to during this moment. Maybe he knew he was in the wrong and ran away. I don't know. So we went up to a different bar because there's 2 different bars in this place. So we went up to the different one. And the person behind the bar looked about our age. So I was like, okay, you're gonna get it. You know what I mean? Like they looked like woke, like they knew what was up. So Grace went up to them and was like, hey, do you know the name of such and such wearing a trench coat? Like this guy, whatever. And they were like, black or grey? And I was like, grey. And this person was like, oh yeah, like, yeah. Pretty much insinuating of like, yeah, I know exactly why you're here and what you're talking about. And we kind of briefly explained the situation. They were like, that's fucked. Like, we are not allowing that here. Gave me their phone. I put in my name and number. And then we kind of like left it. I was like, okay, I'll deal with it later in the week. I'll get a phone call or like a text or something. So we left the bar and we went back to Grace's house, whatever. I'm sitting on the couch and I get a DM from the DJ that was behind the decks at the bar. And he messages and he's like, hi, did you talk to such and such behind the bar about security? I was like, yes, ma'am. And he said, like, I'm really sorry. Like, genuinely a really sweet message saying sorry. And he wants us to have a safe environment. And he doesn't want guys like that working there. And he said he took it to management and he's getting fired this week. That was genuinely the entire thing. The one thing about me is I will always stand for what I know is right, not what I think is right, what I know is right. And I knew he was in the wrong and I wasn't just going to let him stand there and say it. To probably every girl that comes in wearing like mini skirts and stuff, he's probably saying this type of shit to them. This man was like 50 as well. Like, you are old enough to be our dad and you're standing here telling a 19-year-old that she wants to get in an orgy because of her Halloween costume, right? Anyways, yeah. You might not find it that deep, but like in the moment, it was disgusting, like everything that was coming out of his mouth. I wish I could just play you the conversation word for word and you would get it, but that was just like the brief little gist of it.
So me and my baby daddy have an 8-year-old son. My son lives with his dad, but they only live like 10 minutes away. And so we have like a standard court order and I pay child support since my son does live primarily with his dad, and I pay $310 a month. Well, anyway, my son's dad has been kind of giving me a hard time and not letting me see my son. And even though our court order says that like I'm supposed to visit with him, and I try to visit with him on my weekends as much as I can, but sometimes it's tough because I do have a lot of priorities at work and at home. So realistically, I really haven't seen my son probably like in like 14 months. So one day, maybe like 9 months ago, I asked his dad, if I could come pick him up. And his dad said no because my son had a baseball game that day. Well, he did invite me to the baseball game, but I couldn't make the baseball game because I live with my boyfriend and my boyfriend's 2 daughters. My boyfriend has custody of his 2 daughters. Well, one of my boyfriend's daughters had a gymnastics meet that day. And so I wasn't able to make my son's baseball game because I had to go to my boyfriend's daughter's gymnastics meet. And then maybe like 6 months ago, my son's dad forwarded me an email from my son's school saying that it was a special like lunch with mom day at my son's school. But he told me that only like a week before it was supposed to happen. And it was parent-teacher conferences at my boyfriend's daughter's school, both of his daughters. So I wasn't able to make lunch with mom for my son because I had to go to my boyfriend's daughter's parent-teacher conferences. And then 3 months ago, I tried to pick my son up again. And his dad said that he couldn't come because they were having a birthday party for him. So I'm like, it's his birthday. That's something that you should have reminded me about. So they invited me to the birthday party, but I had already had a family reunion that I was going to for my boyfriend. My boyfriend's family was having a family reunion, so I couldn't make my son's birthday party. And I told my son's dad, I said, look, if you're going to be doing this, then you need to kind of like make these events around my schedule to make sure that me and my boyfriend's 2 daughters can come. And if it's my son's birthday, you should be calling me and reminding me and telling me. So basically, it's just always an excuse as to why my son can't come with me, because that's like 3 times in the last 14 months that I've asked to see him and his dad said no. So anyway, we have this thing in our court order that says that my son's father isn't supposed to remove his residence outside of Harris County. He's not supposed to move my son to live outside of Harris County. Well, anyway, he recently filed to have that removed because he wants to move to Georgia. He wants to move to Georgia because he got a job that's going to be paying him $150,000 more a year, like a salary increase. And I think that that's just unfair because I'm already paying $310 a month. And that's more than enough for a 3rd grader or a 4th grader. My son's in 3rd. Well, my son's like in that, I don't know what grade he's in exactly, but he's in that 3rd grade to 4th grade like range. And $310 a month is more than enough. I don't know why he needs to go move him to another state for $150,000 more in a year. And I'm definitely not going to be paying $310 a month if he moves, because then I'll never see him. And I'm not going to be paying all that money for a child that I don't even see. Especially, that's like money that's taking food out of my mouth, my boyfriend's mouth, my boyfriend's 2 daughters' mouths. So I'm looking for a lawyer now to kind of help me contest this, because I really don't want my son to move to Georgia, even though the salary increase will probably drastically, improve his quality of life. And that's how dumb you sound when you call my office after you have taken care of everybody's kids but your own, and you want me to represent you. Absolutely not.
Would I be in the wrong if I skipped my brother's wedding because he uninvited my husband over a joke? My brother Jake, 32 male, is getting married in 2 months, and I, 29 female, am supposed to be the bridesmaid. I was supposed to be. Background. My husband, Tim, 30 male, and Jake never have really gotten along. They're just different people. Tim's quiet and kind of nerdy. Jake's loud and into sports. They've always been civil but not friends. Last month, we had a family barbecue at my parents' house. Everyone was drinking, things were relaxed. Jake and his buddies were talking about the bachelor party, and one of them joked about strippers. Tim, trying to join in the conversation for once, made a comment like, well, at least you'll finally see a woman naked, or something dumb like that. It was obviously a joke. Everyone laughed, including Jake's fiancée, Sarah. Tim doesn't usually joke around, so I was happy he was actually trying. But Jake got pissed, like immediately in Tim's face, saying, what the fuck did you just say to me? And Tim was like, dude, it was a joke, relax. And Jake shoved him. My dad had to get between them. Jake stormed off and wouldn't talk to anyone for the rest of the day. I texted him the next day to smooth things over. He said Tim disrespected him in front of his friends and that he never liked him anyway, and now he has a reason. Then 3 days ago, Sarah texts me, says they've decided Tim is uninvited from the wedding. Just Tim. I can still come and be in the bridal party, but Tim has to stay home. I was like, absolutely not. If my husband isn't welcome, neither am I. Sarah said I'm being dramatic and that Jake is the groom, so he gets the final say on the guest list. I said that's fine. He can have his wedding without us then. Now my entire family is blowing up my phone. My mom is crying, saying I'm ruining Jake's wedding. My dad says Tim should just apologize. Jake sent me a long text about how I'm choosing sides and picking Tim over family. But here's the thing. Tim's joke was dumb, but it wasn't mean-spirited. Jake has said way worse shit to Tim over the years, and Tim never made a big deal about it. Jake called Tim gay for not liking football literally at Christmas. I didn't see him getting uninvited from anything. And Tim is my husband. We've been together for 8 years, married for 3. I'm not going to attend my brother's wedding alone while my spouse sits at home because Jake can't take a joke. My mom says I'm being stubborn and hurting the family. Sarah says I'm making the wedding about me. Even my sister thinks I should just go without him to keep the peace. But I think it's insane they expect me to show up and smile in pictures while my husband's banned. So would I be in the wrong if I skip the wedding entirely? Am I being unreasonable here?